Glad you could join us. Let's begin with President Akufo-Addo, who is confident the appointment of the special prosecutor will end the witch-hunting cries often heard from senior political officials anytime a key state actor is prosecuted. Speaking as the plenary session of the just-ended AU summit held in Nouakchott, Mauritania, President Akufo-Addo said the appointment of Mr. Martin Amidu into that office was crucial for governments to decisively put an end to the politically motivated protest which often comes from the camp of the opposition.
Equality before the law means exactly that, equality before the law. President, Prime Minister, Minister, parliamentary, businessman, policeman, we're all citizens first before we're anything. And that therefore when we get into problems of wrongdoing, we should face the consequences. We have a particular problem in Ghana. That is that every time a prosecution is mounted against a high-ranking official, you hear the cry, witch hunting. And it has become a way of protection for senior political figures. So we've now had to devise a particular response and mechanism. We've established an office of special prosecutor that is a permanent official who is independent of the executive, who has the remit to hold all officials, past and present, accountable for their stewardship. And the person who's the first occupant of that office is a leading figure of the opposition. Was a former Attorney General in the government of President Atta Mills, a leader who was my opponent in previous contests for political power. And that is therefore, and this is a person who has an extremely high reputation for his stance on corruption and as a figure of integrity. And we're taking it that if he then puts you in his gaze for an act of wrongdoing, that charge of witch hunting will no longer be available. And we believe that that is a very important step that we're having to take to make sure that the principle of equality before the law in Ghana is truly made meaningful.
Now moving on, the Ochehene Hamwetia Ofori-Penning II has been lamenting about the country's poor emergency healthcare services. Given accounts of circumstances leading to the death of the former Vice President Kwesi Bekwai and Mr. Arthur last Friday, Ochehene is pained that a gentleman like the former Vice President could easily be lost to preventable circumstances owing to the inactions of key state actors.
10 years I've known him in the jail. I had finished my stairmaster. I'm on the stationary bar, sweating profusely, and I had bang. 3 women in the gym were screaming. I left my machine and went and hair lay my friend, trying to find some air to breathe. We gathered around him and pumped his heart as we could. Yelled out his name. His wife was calling out, Jesus, save him. I just said, call the ambulance. Let's take him to the hospital. There were about 7, 8 of us. And something dawned on me. When we took him out, there was no ambulance, there was no car. We flew the former Vice President in the pickup, threw him in the back, and they drove off to 37. At this moment, I went back to the gym and everybody had departed. The place was empty. I just went and got my towel and my phone, called my driver to take me home. Waiting so anxiously on the phone to hear if somebody would call and said, "Is it all right?" When the call came, and Boachi, the trainer in the gym, said, "Osadifo, I'm here." Vice President is dead. I thought about this event. I thought about the school he went to. I thought about my friend Sam, and Kwajo and Son, all of this been working hard to put a silent fountain on this day. And I rolled back and remembered why we tried to bring him to life, and saw how helpless all of us were.
Sad story there. Now, speaking on the Super Morning Show with me this morning, a physician and deputy coordinator of the National Ambulance Service in the Ashanti region, Dr. Maxwell Osei Ampofo, blamed some of these circumstances on the abuse of the emergency healthcare response system in Ghana. He gave some tips on what to do in case you find yourself in an emergency situation, as it happened in the case of the vice presidents, the former vice presidents. We will be bringing you that audio clip shortly, but in the meantime, Education Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh has revealed 30% more students will be absorbed under government's free senior high school program for the 2018-2019 academic year. Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh says numbers will be increased to make education accessible to more people despite challenges faced in the first year of implementation. He was speaking at a health walk in Kumasi, which he organized for his constituents at Minsha South, where he used the opportunity to eulogize the deceased vice president, former vice president, and reiterated the need for regular checkup. Prince Apia reports.
Hundreds of residents in the Minsha South constituency turned up for the health walk organized by the Member of Parliament, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh. It forms part of activities ahead of the new Patriotic Party's National Delegates Congress scheduled for July 7. The exercise began from the Abbas Park through the Minsha Palace and back to the Abbas Park. Participants were screened by health personnel after the exercise. Dr. Opoku-Prempeh used the opportunity to emphasize the need for regular health checkups in the wake of the death of the Vice President, Parkwesi Mr. Arthur, who he eulogized.
Doing exactly what we are doing, he had gone to the gym. Checking your health is bigger than going to the gym or going to the health walk. That is why after the walk, you would see us checking our health. But we wish that God keeps his soul. He served Ghana, and we should remember him for that. We don't wish it on anybody. The Holy Ghost comforts his family, and as the nation prepares for his burial, we will not participate.
Dr. Opoku-Prempeh also revealed the 2018 academic year will increase student admission by 30% under the free senior high school program.
10% over last year. The number of kids we expect to place is going to be probably 30% than last year. So Ghanaians have voted positively for the free institution, and the government should work to ensure that the faith in the free institution is not with it.
Meanwhile, NAPO, as it is affectionately called, has confidence that the National Delegates Congress will be successful and the victors in the upcoming elections will deliver.
To let people know that we still exist. We're preparing ourselves for the exercise ahead of us, and God being our guide and our guide. The party will still continue to be strong. No matter the winds that are blowing, the party is firmly in control over the government. All the contestants are new Patriotic Party people. So everyone that will win will do the work well.
We are still Prince Apia reporting.
Now, more than a decade has the government begun the construction of a 30-bed capacity health post at Sefi Asarinso in the Western region. The project is yet to be completed. The construction was abandoned in 2009 after government changed hands. The owner of the house the health post operates from is threatening to eject them for non-payment of rent. Residents are demanding immediate resumption of work on the abandoned facility. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo has more.
The new Sefi Asarinso health post was left to rot after the NPP handed over power to the NDC. The main structure has been built, it's been roofed, What is left is plastering and moving equipment into the facility. Bushes have now grown all over the structure. Former Secretary MC Akasantana is quoted in a 2014 interview to have said the project was abandoned because the NDC government could not trace documents on it. The residents are unhappy. Our father Kofo started it. NDC didn't continue. The current site is congested. Patients have to wait long hours outside in long queues at the mercy of the weather to be treated. Children lie outside to receive treatment, whilst others are treated on the corridors. Some are treated in chairs and benches, while some sit down to catch sleep. The wards have at least 2 people sharing one bed. The labor ward is also just a 2-bed facility. The roof leaks when it rains. Nurses at the facility tell me infections spread fast because of the congestion.
Infection prevention is not being practiced at our places. Before they will be standing up and down, to me taking the correct accuracy of the or more babies. Me as a nurse,
As a nurse here, I won't allow even my wife to come give birth at this facility.
The place is very bad.
David Adai brought his daughter to the facility after she had an asthmatic attack, but she was removed from her bed before full recovery because a more severe case was brought in.
Now we be so the bar, I very critical. Now was so mujino, a high very congested. Or sha nipa banner no be our problem. O coach the school phobia by na.
It's not just my daughter. Some other children had been brought in who had collapsed, but there was no bed for them. The owner of the current site is sacking them for non-payment of rent. Residents are demanding an immediate resumption of work on the stalled project.
The
health facility is being ejected from this house, which is actually someone's home. From Seshri Asanyenso in the Western region, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo reporting.
Let's take you back to Nouakchott, Mauritania, because the AU summit, which the president is in attendance, ended yesterday under the theme "Winning the Fight Against Corruption: A Sustainable Path to Africa's Transformation." A communique is expected to be issued anytime soon to determine the way forward on the fight against corruption on the continent. Presidential correspondent Elton Brobe, who covered the event for Joy News, joins us via Skype with more. Elton, good afternoon and welcome back to Ghana.
Thank you very much, Daniel.
So, how was the experience for you?
Well, it was okay. I mean, we went to a country full of sand and sun, a population of less than 4 million, and they are putting themselves on the world map. And then if you check the fact that they had to construct a 5,000 capacity conference hall within 6 months, when they were told in January that they were going to host the next AU meeting, tells you the seriousness of Mauritania.
Great. So what are some of the key issues that came up as regards the fight against corruption?
Well, the communique, I'm told, will come out this afternoon. President Buhari of Nigeria presented his proposals, which was debated. The video clip you played earlier was President Akufo-Addo's contribution to that proposal and what Ghana is doing to ensure that corruption is dealt with, and also the strengthening of anti-corruption agencies. So the agreements, or better still, the conclusion on that particular proposal and the adoption of same by the AU is what we are all expecting the communicate in the next few hours, I'm told. But some decisions were taken, institutional reforms. For example, finally, member states agreed to impose a 0.2% levy on some selected imports. The money to be realized from member states will go to fund activities of the AU. Now, at the moment, 70% of budget of the AU is provided by donor support, that is the European partners. They want to move away from that particular shift and then allow the African continent to finance activities of the AU. That's how come they've agreed that 0.2% levy is imposed on selected imported items for member countries. Ghana has already signed on to it. I'm told that over 70% of country participants have all signed on to this particular, agreement.
Now, Elton, which imports will be affected? Has that been decided yet?
Well, they spoke about selected items. I'm sure that in the days to follow, the full agreement will be made known, and then importers will get to know which aspects of the things that they will bring into their respective countries will attract a 0.2% levy, and that money will go to fund activities of the EU. And also, according to the foreign minister, Ghana also tabled a motion to play host to the Continental Free Trade Secretariat. They want it cited in Ghana. That is also taking effect from October this year.
Yeah, so again, on these levies that are going to be imposed, will the items to be selected chosen by the AU or by the member states? I mean, on a case-by-case basis.
Is that a full communication to that effect will come in.
Right.
And then member states will get to understand which particular goods imported will attract this particular levy. As of now, the agreement has been signed, 0.2% on selected imports. As to which goods will fall under this particular category, that is the communication that will be contained in the communique that they are hoping will come up very soon.
Right, thank you very much, Elton Brobe, for that update. Elton John Brobe is our presidential correspondent, fresh from that trip to Mauritania. And the key point from that is that a 0.2% levy will soon be imposed on some selected imports to fund the Africa Union. Still watching Joy News today, I am Daniel Dazi. You want to stay with us because as the country awaits the appointment of a new electoral commission chairperson by the president, we'll be asking how prepared is the commission and the 4 remaining commissioners to carry out their mandate ahead of major political events, including the upcoming NPP National Delegate Congress this weekend. And Joy News Agenda returns this week with focus on poor management of waste in bus terminals across the country, one of the places perceived to be a haven for massive waste generation. Bernice Abubedu will tell us the story of the 37 bus terminal. And though they've crashed out of the fiercely contested 4 finals of the National Science and Maths Quiz, defeated Prempeh College tells Joy News their morale is still high. Don't forget, there's also business, sports, international, and showbiz updates coming shortly. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Now, Joy News Agenda returns with a focus on sanitation at bus terminals this week. According to the UN, Ghana's capital, Accra, produces 300 tons of plastic waste in a day. That's enough to fill about 10 40-foot containers. The city has a lot of beautiful sights, but there are many more places inundated with filth not befitting of a nation's capital. Joy News' Bernice Abubedu was out to find out how waste is managed in a place believed where it is believed it is most generated, bus terminals.
The 37 minibus and taxi station is one of the biggest in the city. Buses move from here to Kaswa, Ashaman, Spintex, and many other towns. It's a really busy place with traders, headquarters, food, and other vendors. Waste here, especially plastic ones, is generated by those who work here. Thus, the drivers of minibuses, popularly called trotros, and their conductors, traders, food vendors, and a lot of it by passengers in the buses. I'm in an Osu-bound trotro here to find out from passengers what their struggles are dealing with waste or when they have to dispose of the remains of something they've eaten.
It's very difficult to dispose any waste because there's no dustbin in the car. In the car, the passenger car we are sitting in right now, you can imagine that we are squeezing ourselves. We don't have space in the car. And where are you going to drop it? So the best way to do is either drop it in the car or take it home. But on the road side we are going, there's no dustbins on the road side. Now you can even get down and pour in. There's nothing there.
I spotted a young lady munching on something. I just want to find out from her what she's going to do with the waste of that particular thing she's eaten. Hello.
Well, actually, she's going to put it into her bag. We'll just take it home. That's what I told her because she can't throw it around, and putting the trash is not nice. So we just take it home.
So is that what you always have to do anytime you buy something?
Yes.
How easy or convenient is it for you to always keep rubbish in your bag?
Well, it's not that convenient, but we don't have a choice.
I keep it myself. When I go home, then I dispose it off. Most of the times, like the man was saying, the drivers will not allow you to put it in the car. And so if they're able to design a simple dustbin in the trotro, so we all keep it there.
On the day of my visit, I saw an old woman picking plastic waste that had been cleared onto the streets from the buses parked on the streets. She told me she sells them for a fee quoted by buyers. It would have been such a relief if all the waste at the station was cleared up almost immediately like this. Most of it, however, is cleared inside the main station. The driver's conductors sweep them onto the ground, and without setting out to cause any damage, the wind carries the waste. Unfortunately, some of it ends up here. I'm shown an open culvert by one GPRTU executive. There's water mixed with cooking oil, rotten vegetables, and plastic waste. It's also used as a urinal by some of the men here. Very close by sits a large bin provided by the Dade Kotopong Assembly, LATMA, but according to managers at the 37 station, it's usually full, and for over a month they've had to manage a heap of rubbish on the ground because the city authorities have failed to empty the container.
Bernice Abubedu with today's Joy News agenda. Now, the dismissal of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Madame Charlotte Osei, and her two deputies continues to attract varied reaction, particularly as the president is yet to name a substantive replacement. Should the president even appoint a new EC boss today? How ready is the commission itself and the remaining 4 commissioners to work with him or her? The MPP is scheduled to hold its National Delegates Congress later this week. Is the EC ready to conduct the polls for the country's largest or ruling political party? Here's a News Desk report.
The president's action is a vindication of their long-held stance on the position of the EC chairperson. The CPP, though not too emphatic on the decision, said at a press conference Monday, July 2, 2018, that the process leading to the EC chair's removal was problematic.
The issue surrounding the purported removal of the chair of the EC and her 2 deputies is a matter that its origin and where we are today touch on fundamental issues of the Constitution. We are still studying the reports that have been put out there in the media. Mind you, the committee's work, which was forwarded to the president, and per the Constitution, the president had no right to vary whatever was in that committee's report, was held in camera.
The NDC has largely been leading the protest against the dismissal of Madame Charlotte Osei. Kofi Adams, the party's national organizer, was the first to address a press conference to register the party's displeasure about the sacking.
Of course, this came as a surprise, though we knew knew right from the beginning that this is what President Akufo-Addo and his MPP government were up to. But we are more than convinced that this is a political decision, it's a dent on our democracy, and it's a shame. And we are not going to just sit idle by to allow for democracy we have so protected up to this point to be destroyed by one person's and his group desire to continue to perpetuate themselves in power.
Civil society have also been reacting to the president's action. Alliance for Accountable Governance, AFAC, demanded further prosecution of the 3 commissioners after extracts of the Chief Justice's report was leaked. Head of European Studies at the University of Ghana, Professor Yao Jampo, felt the impeachment was legally wise but politically unwise. For Professor Henry Kwesi Prempeh, who is also a legal practitioner, President Akufo-Addo should have addressed the nation on the removal of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mrs. Charlotte Osei, rather than announcing that decision through the Minister of Information. Well, the reactions are varied and continue to pour in while the whole nation awaits the president's announcement of a new EC chair. But while we wait, we ask, how ready is the EC to continue its mandate in the coming days?
Joining us on the phone for some answers is the Director of Advocacy and Policy Engagement at the Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, Dr. Kojo Asante. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Asante.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Now, Doc, is the EC ready to conduct major elections like the NPP's National Delegates Conference this weekend?
All right, thank you. I think first I want to make the point that for me it's still incredible that officially we have not seen copies of the full findings of the committee. I think just as a matter of accountability and transparency, this document, this official document, should have been out. We're still relying on portions of findings and statements being put out by individuals and so on. I think it's very, very disturbing and worrying that nobody has seen it fit to help people understand the full basis and implications of this matter, by putting out this information. So I would repeat a call that CDD made when the news broke, is that first and foremost, we have to make this information available. The full committee findings of not just Madam Charlotte Osei, but the other commissioners, the deputies as well. So now let me deal with your substantive question around the EC. There are many challenges that currently arise. So as we know, per the EC Act, the commissioners need a quorum to basically meet and make decisions. That quorum is 4. And that quorum must always involve either the chairperson or one of the deputies. Currently, all those 3 are not available after the decision. So it raises a question as to whether the committee can meet. There is a provision in the Constitution, Article 44(6), which deals with the absence or death of a member. And the provision basically says that the commission shall continue in its work if there's an absence or the death of a member of the commission. One can argue that if that's the case, the 3 remaining commissioners should be able to meet, because currently there are only 3 non-executive commissioners. But and that constitutional provision obviously will supersede any statutory provisions around meetings of committees. So that's one issue, and you can put all of that on the side. In terms of the MPP elections, the technical directors at the commission should be able to implement any policy that was already in existence before the 3 executive commissioners were removed. So the rules around conducting elections and so on and so forth, these are already been settled and should be able to be implemented by the technical directors of the commission.
What
so
if they haven't, Doctor?
I wouldn't have a problem with that.
What if they haven't? What if these directives are not there yet?
Oh, they will be. I mean, the conduct of elections, I mean, that is laid out in a number of statutes, the representation of the people's law or public elections law and so on and so forth. So these are, and also you have the EC's own administrative guidelines on election conduct and so on. So these are rules that are all of that are there.
Are we then to assume then, Doc, that in your view, we can take it that there's nothing to worry about? The activities of the EC can go on unabated?
Not with the upcoming MPP Congress, I don't think there's a problem. I think where you have a problem is when you get to issues regarding the referendum and so on, where you require either the signature of the commissioner or commission member or so. Those are where we might have problems if they are not replaced. But I think currently, with respect to or supervising the elections of the electoral, the MPP, I don't think that is a problem.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kojo Asante. He is the head of policy engagement and advocacy at CDD Ghana, the Center for Democratic Development. Now, before Emmanuel brings his business, authorities and students of Prempeh College say morale is still high despite crashing out of the National Science and Maths quiz on Monday. The reigning champions failed to defend the trophy, losing out to West Africa Senior High School. Love FM's Erastus Asaridonko was at the school yesterday to gauge the mood.
It was a tense moment yesterday at the campus of Prempeh College. Some of the students engaged in intense prayer during the contest with the aim of maintaining the trophy. But at the fourth round, the confidence of many of the students began to wane. Many started leaving the hall where they gathered to watch proceedings. Prefect of the school, Daniel Nieza, and some students could not understand what went wrong.
We did prepare, we did everything, but I wouldn't blame it on luck, but we'll still give glory to God. But seriously, if I tell you what is happening, it's actually something that we know of, then I'm deceiving all of you.
Are you disappointed?
I'm very disappointed, of course. I'll be disappointed. Of course, reigning champions, you're expecting to bring the cup back and then come and jubilate and everything. And then just along the line, not even at the final, but probably at the semi-final for a school that we actually even heard of. What is West Africa SHS? Come on. And then they took us out and then they've taken us out. And currently, I can't still believe that this is actually current affairs. I'm sure it's more or less like a dream I'm going to wake up of. Someone should get me water so that I wake up.
Well, let me talk to this gentleman here. At the point, I saw you guys leaving the auditorium in numbers. Why?
It was because like what we were witnessing here wasn't that much good. So I actually want to go out in order to be out of pressure. Yeah. Yes.
Would you say that the prayers did not work?
Oh, it worked. As the saying goes, everything happens for a reason. So we are all disappointed though, but we cannot leave God we cannot let God come out from it. We just have to trust our God and hope that next year everything will go well for us.
So how are you going to receive your peers, those who partook in the competition? Though you've lost, how are you going to receive them when they come?
Everything is going to be okay. We give glory to God.
Headmaster of the school, Samuel Fojo, is still optimistic. He says his boys put up a good fight, adding that the school's mettle cannot be determined by the results of the science and maths quiz.
Even last year, our boys getting to the final, they had nothing. They told me that they had nothing. So, these things, well, I'm not saying that we prepared well, but maybe we failed to do one or two things. So I wish them well. And
But Prempeh is still Prempeh.
Prempeh is still Prempeh.
Okay, so as you can see, they are down, but they are not vanquished. They say that they are still strong and they are still going to make it. So from Prempeh College, Erastus Asaridonko, reporting for Joy News.
I think Erastus has just been converted to a Prempeh College student. But all the best to West Africa Senior High School, all the finalists on Thursday's competition. And you want to stay tuned to Joy News as the finals of the National Science and Maths Quiz comes to you live on this platform. You're still watching Joy News today. Let's hear what Emmanuel Abuajiriafi has to say about business.